Our messenger has specifically asked us to speak about the recent flooding in Texas. For what appeared as a natural deluge in the hill country was anything but an ordinary storm. Many of you who are awake sensed an unusual energy humming beneath those heavy clouds. Indeed, in the days leading up to the torrents, independent observers detected tightly pulsed microwave bursts in the upper atmosphere. Sharp, rhythmic signals not found in nature or in normal cloud seeding operations. Moments later, satellite images revealed swirling, spiral-like cloud patterns, more characteristic of laboratory simulations than of summer thunderheads. Some of you on the ground even heard a strange, high-pitched sky whine just before the river rose with unimaginable speed. At the same time, cell phone networks in a precise corridor mysteriously went down, cutting off emergency calls. When service returned, key data logs and weather radar frames had been scrubbed from your official servers as if they had never existed. Why would someone orchestrate such a thing? To understand this, look at who and what the flood affected most. One apparent target was a summer retreat we shall call the camp, a place cherished by families of patriotic and spiritually awake lineages. This riverside camp was erased in minutes by the wall of water. Know that this location was no random campground. It was a gathering spot for daughters of military servicemen, truth-seeking attorneys, and medical pioneers, young souls connected to families involved in exposing hidden crimes. Flooding the river to obliterate this camp achieved multiple dark objectives at once. First, it instilled terror and grief in a community that holds a particularly strong light of patriotism and faith, a demographic the hidden cabal often regards as problematic due to their courage and conviction. Second, the sudden deluge conveniently destroyed physical evidence and records. Important documents, computers, and devices containing sensitive information were swept away or ruined beyond recovery, disrupting ongoing investigations into illicit bioweapons profits and trafficking rings. Third, amid the chaos, there were reports that unidentified men posing as relief workers corralled certain survivors into an empty riverside building, ostensibly for safety. When legitimate rescue teams, including an elite military unit training nearby, finally arrived, they found that building deserted except for chilling evidence of foul play. This gruesome scene stands as an eerie emblem of what many intuit, that the flood was used as cover for abductions or attacks on specific individuals. In short, negative actors braided elemental force with psychological warfare, using water both as a weapon of physical destruction and as a veil to conceal darker deeds. From a higher vantage, we see clearly how this incident was engineered to seem like a biblical act of God, yet was perhaps delivered to leave no clear perpetrator in the third-dimensional sense. Following the money and power trails behind the flood reveals further layers of motive. Whispers among your independent economists have noted that companies experimenting with weather modification are funded by the same giant investment conglomerates that exert enormous control over global resources. These financial behemoths, operating through shell companies and foundations tied to a few powerful elites, had a direct interest in what happened in Texas. Consider that this state has been openly resisting certain federal mandates and high-tech control agendas. Recently, Texas moved to limit land purchases by foreign-linked corporations and spoke out against a centralized digital currency system. Such independence threatened the long-term plans of those global interests. Then came the flood. Hundreds of miles of riverfront property were suddenly devastated. Family ranches and small towns, previously unwilling to sell out, faced disaster losses that made them vulnerable. Under the guise of disaster relief, entities connected to those same investment funds can now quietly buy up land and infrastructure on the cheap. What could not be obtained through legislation might be acquired by engineering a crisis. Simultaneously, mainstream news outlets immediately framed the deluge as further proof of climate change chaos, implying that drastic centralized measures are needed to combat nature's wrath. This narrative conveniently aligns with the agenda of certain billionaire philanthropists who have poured resources into carbon control initiatives. Through a fifth-dimensional lens, we see the cunning in this dual strategy: create the problem and then present the pre-planned solution. The water served a double purpose for the cabal planners, punishing a rebellious region and pushing the populace to accept stricter environmental and financial controls. Furthermore, while people's attention was riveted on dramatic images of flooded homes and washed-out roads, another subtler objective was achieved: distraction. In that same time frame, a high-profile legal case quietly reached a verdict, convicting a well-known entertainment mogul for involvement in human trafficking. This should have been explosive news, uncovering links from the celebrity world to political and intelligence circles. Yet the flood coverage dominated the headlines, relegating the trafficking case to a mere whisper in the background. When truths that could unravel elite power are on the verge of emerging, a larger spectacle suddenly captures the public eye.